one of the biggest features that we've managed to add to this is we're giving developers the ability to create their own AIs within LFM through something called the AI Creator. So this allows you, if you go to AI Creator, right here, the first option you see in this blue box is if you have a developer or if you've created your own AI on one of your other LFM sites, this is where you can go to install it. So it'll give you a AI file that you can download when you create your AI. And then if, let's say you're a developer and you're creating an AI for your customers, let's say that you've developed a game. Let's say that you're selling a game for LFMTE and you want to create an AI that goes along with it. So that way, if the people who are using your game want to see a list of winners or things like that, or see what the prizes are and things like that, you could develop an AI for your game that owners can then have in their admin panel. And then you would create the file and then you tell your customers, all right, just go into your AI creator, upload the file, and that will add your AI. And if you're interested in developing your own AIs using this system, it's just a 5-step process, which I'll go over briefly. But basically, first, you just select which parts of the database you want the AI to have access to. So if you are developing it for a game, you might want to give it access to the winners list so you can see who won the game and things like that. You would just enter some descriptions. So you would let the AI know what the table is, what the columns are, and I'll show you just a quick example of that in a minute. And then you'd set any database relationships, and then you would train the AI. So creating an AI is quite different from the traditional way that software is normally programmed. Normally, with like old software, you'd write the code and then the software would do exactly what the code does. Working with AI is a lot more like working with a person that you're hiring to work in your admin panel. So you would actually explain what things are, and then you would give it some training. You would give it some examples. So AIs learn a lot the way that people do. So let's say that the descriptions and everything, let's say that a person is taking a math class. So the descriptions is like teaching it how to do certain things. So like teaching it equations and uh, how to solve certain problems. The stuff in the textbook, that's like your descriptions. The training is like if you give somebody homework with practice problems so they can do those practice problems over and over again until they get better and better at it. That's the way that you would train an AI so it gets better at answering the types of questions that your users are going to be asking it. But now what we've done is we've used our own AI creator to create an AI for LFMTE. So the LFMTE AI, you can see it looks a lot the same way as the other two that were built into the script, the LFM AI and the page editor AI, where the user can ask it a question and then you can see an example of things that you can ask it. So for example, you could ask it something like, which text ad has the best click-through ratio? And then it gives you the answer. The text ad with the best click-through rate is ad number 2. And the text is get a splash of traffic, and the target is trafficsplash.com. It's received 1 click and 7 impressions, resulting in a CTR of 14%. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over to creator mode. So if I wanted to create this LFMTE AI, I would do it inside creator mode. So you can see first, you provide some basic information. So you give your AI a name. In this case, it's the LFMTE AI. And now this description right here, this is for the AI to understand what it's doing. So what it's working with is a database for a traffic exchange website. If you were creating an AI for a game, you would explain, this is the database for a card game or a hangman game. And then user info, this is what your users see. So it's this description right here. So this is what users see. So here, this is kind of just the basic description, but here for the page editor, you can see that I've added some more detail, like just a description of what the AI can do, and if you have any recommendations on things that your users should do. So for example, for the page editor, I explained that if you want the AI to add a video to or an image to your site, make sure you give it the URL of the content you want to add. So if you want to give any special descriptions and stuff like that, you would put it in the user info. So after you set these three things, so the next step is you want to select the tables and columns of your database that you want the AI to have access to. Now, if you're just creating an AI to use on your own site, you can just select pretty much wherever you want. But if you're developing an AI that you want to sell to other users or include with, let's say, a mod or a game that you're developing, just keep in mind, and I've added this all of this is in the information up here, but just keep in mind that any tables or columns you select here will have to be in the database of your users who are going to be using this AI, because otherwise the AI is going to be looking for information that doesn't exist. So you want to make sure that all of your end users are going to have this. But so here you would just go through and you would just select what you want. So this is for the LFMTE AI. So I wanted to be able to look up member banners. So one of the columns I've selected is member banners, and I wanted to see the ID, the state, which is whether it's active or paused or suspended, the user ID, and then the image URL, the target URL, how many impressions are assigned, how many hits and clicks it's gotten. So basically this is what you're setting, what you want your AI to be able to search for. So you want it to look for member information. If you're developing an AI to look at your sales information, you would select your sales table and stuff like that. And there is a shortcut button up here. So if you click this, this automatically pre-fills the selections and the descriptions for looking up basic member information. So this selects things like a member's name, their email address. So this gives your AI a foundation of being able to look up member information. Now this is useful because you would probably want to tie that into whatever you want your AI to do. So if you are developing a game, you might want to say which users have won the game most last week. You might ask it something like that. Now, if you give it this ability to look up the basic member information, it will be able to look that up, and then it will be able to tell you Sonny Suggs won the game, is the member who won the game the most time last week, and things like that. So it'll be able to look up members' name, information, email, and stuff like that. The description, this is where, so after you've selected this, just make sure you save it, and I'll show you what I mean. So whenever you select something here or deselect it, whenever you make any changes, there will be a save button that appears automatically. So you just after you're done selecting everything that you want the AI to have access to, just click this green Save button. It will say your changes have been saved. You can click this to go right back to the top of the page. Um, just save you a little bit of time so you don't have to scroll all the way up. And then you go to your descriptions, and here you fill in a description for everything that you selected. Now, if it's something really obvious, like in the OTO members table, something like first name, last name, the AI is pretty good at understanding what stuff like that is. So it'll know that if you have a list of users, so you can see that's why some of these are blank, because the AI already knows what a first name is, a last name, and an email. But you can see like under banner ads, I added some more specific information. This is a list of banner ads in the exchange. And then you can see for state, I explained what the different states would be. So for those of you who have worked in the database, you know that 0 means that the ad is pending, 1 means it's enabled, 2 means it's paused, 3 means it's suspended, and so on. And then the relationships is where, again, everything, it goes into more detail at the top of each step. So it says exactly what you're doing, but this just helps you match the information in different tables so the AI knows what it's looking for. So for example, the member ID column in the banners table matches the ID table in the members table. So you can select all of these. And then the training is where you give it some examples of what you want the AI to be able to handle. Now the AI is pretty good at figuring a lot of stuff out just by looking at your descriptions and looking at your tables, but it helps just to give it some examples. And what you would do is you would just you would enter for message, you would give an example of something that a user might ask. And then for response, you're giving an SQL query of what it's looking for. So if you wanted it to say list each banner ad along with the CTR, you can enter the SQL query that gets that information. You click on test because you want to make sure that your query is working and that it gives you exactly what you're looking for. Because if some of your training has errors in it, that's going to make your AI less likely to get accurate results. And finally, if you want, let's see, if you want it to appear in the list of examples that your members see, you can just select this box here that says Show Example, and then you give it a title, and then this will add it to the examples page. So I know this is a little bit technical. I know a lot of you probably aren't going to be, may not even be using this. You might hire a developer if you really want to build your own AI, but you don't know SQL and you don't understand the database structure. You might hire a programmer to do this for you and things like that. But I just want to go over this because this is a very powerful feature that we're adding, just the ability to create an AI that does whatever you want it to do. Whether you want it to look up sales, whether you want it to be able to generate leaderboards, you can customize as many AIs as you want and have them here inside of your admin panel. And when you give it an example, the AI will be able to do a lot of different variations of that same question. So you don't have to enter every possible question that users will ask. In fact, if the user's asking a fairly straightforward question, it can probably answer that just by looking at the database structure. But this helps you for more complex things, like if you wanted to figure out who has the highest clicking accuracy, you could give it the SQL query that can do that. And then teaching it something like this, you could then use it to look up specific stuff like what is Robert Putty's clicking accuracy? What is Sonny Suggs' clicking accuracy? Just by giving it just a few examples, it will be able to answer a lot of variations of that same question.